بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ولاليال رقي دمر عروري عرولي صغير كبير وحن إذن سوقت بنينا سلام أنكو إذن كل سلامنا سلامة إسلامك وحن إذن لنا هي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته waxaana idinkaga soo tabinaynaa salaantan stuudiyaha weyn ee Kalsantv ee magaalada London caawa oo axad ah bishani aynu ku jirnaa ee Septemberna ay tahay 20ka waxaa sida caadadaynoo ahayd halkan aan ka soo tabinaynaa barnaamijkeena usbuuclaha ah ee loo yaqaano Gurmad oo ka mid ah barnaamijyada aadka loo qadariyo xiisaha leh ka baxa telefishinkan qiimaha iyo qaayaha leh waxa aan idinku soo dhaweynaynaa inaad nagala qayb qaadataan daawataan afkaartiinana ka dhiibataan barnaamijkan waxaana caawa farxad ii ah inaan idin sheego inay marti noogu tahay barnaamijka garyaqaanada sida weyn looga yaqaano dalkan Mudassar Arani oo ah garyaqaamad u dagaalanta xuquuqda bini'aadanka ama loo yaqaano human rights lawyer. Welcome Mudassar Arani to the Gurmad program of Kalsantv.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. What I would like to inform the viewers is that the program would go both in Somali and English. And it's a great honor for us to have one of the UK's leading human rights lawyers, Mudassar Arani, on the program to advise, comment to the viewers on many issues relating to legal cases. Especially tonight we will talk about the prisoners and the things that they are going through and what the law can do to help them. So I welcome you warmly again to the program, and I would like you to say thank you for your second appearance, and I hope it will be a long-lasting link between the community and yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you. As you know, there are about 85,816 people in prisons and young offenders institution in England and Wales. The male prison population is 81,889 and the female prison population is 3,927. The child custody population at the end of July 2005 was 1,003. There is an increase of 17 since the last month and the fall of 119 compared to last year. Among these are 37 girls in custody. We're talking about young children. The prisoners and the prison life. If we touch a little bit, there are the five most overcrowded prisons are Kennet, Her Majesty Prison Service, Leeds, Swansea, Exeter and Wandsworth. And I think that these prisoners operate on a scheme system called certified normal accommodation, which is the way the prison service measures how many people can be held in a decent and safe accommodation. For example, the Kennet prison, the number it can hold is 175, but at the moment there are 313 people inside. And Leeds, the prison now can only hold 669 people, but at the moment inside there are 1,163. And Swansea, the capacity, the number of people this prison can take is 242, but at the moment there are 413. Exeter, we have got 318 inmates, and it can take 318 inmates, but currently there are 531. And the final one, Wandsworth, which is just well-known in London, the capacity this prison can take is 943, but at the moment there are 1,560. As a leading UK human rights lawyer, what can you say about these things, the prison life and the prisoners? I think there are a lot of issues about when the capacity, the prison population goes beyond the capacity and the number of people, number of inmates it can take. Also, there are abuses or other things that may affect the welfare and the well-being of the inmates inside. We hear from time to time things not going well. What can you tell us? What these people inside, what kind of rights do they have?
There's loads of questions there. First of all, let me start off with the easier one, yes. Which is what kind of rights do prisoners have? Unfortunately, there have been substantial legal aid cuts where we as lawyers were able to fight for various rights for prisoners. Yes. For example, if there was anything to do with any complaints procedure relating in the prison, any religious rights, etc., when prisoners wanted to be transferred from one prison to another because they hadn't seen members of their family. So we were able to do a lot more work under the prison law establishment. Yeah. But unfortunately, there's been substantial cutbacks in legal aid, which means that the lawyer's role has really been reduced to parole, adjudication, and really that's it. Whereas what prisoners have to do is that they have to use the internal complaints procedure.
Yes.
So if a prisoner has complaints about anything that the prisoner may believe that he or she isn't being treated properly within the prison system or their rights are being abused, they have to use the internal complaints procedure and file complaints. Yes. In writing. Yeah. When they get a response, if they're not happy with the response, they can then do a further appeal against that. And then the matter would go to the independent body who would decide whether or not the complaint is justified, not justified, and it's resolved that way. Yeah. Before, you did have rights to go and try to do judicial review, which is taking the public body to the court. Legal aid for judicial review has been substantially reduced, not just for prison law, everything. So there are loads of cutbacks which have taken place, which is affecting loads of people's rights in prison and out of prison. So what prisoners really need to do is, if you have a complaint, use the internal complaints procedure. Go to the ombudsman. Yeah. As your last resort to get your matter resolved. Okay,
I think thank you very much. I think if a prisoner feels that his rights have been violated, so the first thing is to do is to start internal complaints. Yes. How much are you confident that these complaints would reach the right destination?
The complaint has to be dealt with because the prison has its own rules and regulations. Yes. And what you've got to do is the prison has to follow the complaints procedure. If they don't follow the complaint procedure, that in itself is a complaint that you can do against the prison. Yes. So follow the complaints procedure, then go to the ombudsman, that's your last resort. And that's an independent body that will examine what the complaint is, what you say, and what the prison establishment say, and see what they can try to do to resolve your complaint.
Thank you very much. Walaalayaal waa maqlaysaan waxaan ka hadalnay dadka ku jira jeelasha iyo noloshooda. Waxaan taabanay in ay ku jiraan jeelasha 85,816 ruux oo ku jira iyagu jeelasha iyo meelaha kale ee lagu hayo dadka da'doodu yar tahay ee la yiraahdo Young Offenders Institution. 81,889 dadkaasi kamida waa rag, dumarkuna waa 3,927. waxaa jira caruurta iyagu ku jira meelaha caruurta lagu hayo ee dambiyada gala. tiradoodu waxay maraysaa tirakoob la qaaday ilaa July sanadkan 1,003 caruur ah. caruurtaasi waa ka yar yihiin kuwii sanadkii ka horeeyay. si kasta arrinku u ahaadee 1,003 37 gabdhood ayaa ku jira. waxaa jira in xaaladda jeelashu ay tahay mid aad ay dadku ay isaga bateen, waxaana lagu qiimeeyaa wax la yiraahdo certified normal accommodation oo ah qaabka prison serviceska ama hay'adda iyada mas'uulka ka ah jeelasha ay u qiimeyso, oo ah waxa la qiyaasaa imisa ayuu qaadi karaa. masalan haddii aan soo qaadno prisonka la yiraahdo Kenneth wuxuu qaadi karaa 175, waxaase ku jirta 313 hadda. Leeds wuxuu qaadi karaa 669, waxaase ku jirta 1,163. Swansea prison ku yaala wuxuu qaadi karaa 242 maxbuus, waxaase ku jirta hadda 413. Exeter waxa uu qaadi karaa 318, waxaase hadda ku jirta 531 maxbuus. Wandsworth wuxuu qaadi karaa 943 maxbuus, waxaase hadda ku jirta 1,560. waxaan loo yara daaweydiiyey maxay tahay xuquuqda dadku ay leeyihiin, dadka jeelasha ku jira maxbuusta ay leeyihiin, marka maxaase la qaban karaa haddii xuquuqdooda lagu xadgudbo. waxaa loo yara Mudassar Arani ay tiri waxa qofku leeyahay xaqiisa haddii lagu xadgudbana waa in uu bilaabo waxa la yiraahdo internal complaint ama dacwo gudaha ah. haddii waxaan weydiiyey dacwadaasi aan meesheeda laga soo qaadin, markaas waxay tiri qofku wuxuuba ka dacwoonayaa prisonka oo dhan. marka nidaam baa jira, procedure baa jira ombudsmanka loo gudbinaya haddii dacwadaasi aan la dhageysan. marka walaalayaal waxyaabaha loo yaradu ay ka hadashay waxaa ka mid ah the issue of transfer linked. waxaa jira family memberska, qofka famiilka uu ka dhashay haddii laga fogeeyo wuxuu xaq u leeyahay inuu ku doodo in famiilkaasi loo celiyo. I just highlighted the last point about one of the rights the prisoner can argue is if he is put far away from his own family. Okay, there are cases where somebody has been sentenced and sent to a prison very far from where his children and the rest of the family live. So I think these are violated rights. What can we do this?
Okay, and what happens is once somebody's been sentenced, the person is dispersed to a prison. What can happen is that their visitation rights, if the family is not able to travel to the prison he's in, then he can accumulate his visits. That means he can collect his visits and say to the prison establishment, can I now be transferred to a prison which is an ex-prison which is near where my family live?
Yes.
And then the family can have all of the visits then, where they physically see the person. The other thing is you are entitled to, if you have financial difficulties, which I think certain people don't know about, is that you are entitled to get subsidies to assist you in travelling. So you can go and see the prisoner. So if money is an issue, then that's something that you may want to discuss with the prison establishment. How can you get some compensation
for the
travel?
Spent.
Money spent to go and travel to visit your loved one if you don't have money, or you know, if you're on low income or if you're on benefits, etc. So there is that type of assistance there as well.
Definitely.
So if money is the issue, look at finances.
If the geographical distance is an issue?
If that's the issue, then the only thing that the person can do is they can accumulate the visits. That means get all of the visits collected together. And then say to the prison establishment, can I be sent to a prison which is near my family? Then you can have all of your visits there. And then the person will be transferred back into the other prison after the visits have finished.
So it's always worth talking and raising your consent.
Yes, they do that.
Yeah,
Prison officers do that, and if that is an issue, raise the issue with them, ask for a transfer, accumulate all of your visits together, and then get transferred to another prison. Have your visits with your family. When the visits are finished, they would send you back to the prison that you were in.
Well, that's a good. Thank you very much. I think the most recent set of Minister of Justice statistics shown on the 30th of June 2015. There were 11,785 men and women held on remand in prison, and 6,279 people are serving shorter sentences, less than 12 months. 4,614 people are held on now abolished indeterminate IBB sentence, of whom 3,532 have passed their tariff expiry date. I think and that between January and March. I think what I would like to say here, if you look these figures, the most appalling is the IPP prisoners. Means it admits that the sentences have now been abolished, yet 3,532 have passed their term, and they still in prison. Means that just 4,614 people are those type of people who we call IBP.
Yes.
And large number are just the people who have passed their just term. At the time the judge say they should stay in jail. I have had the opportunity to speak and on behalf of one of the inmates, and we collected large number of signatures from mosques, community centers, and I managed to put those signatures into the hand of the former Justice Minister, Chris Grayling. I think we haven't heard from him. Unfortunately, that minister has now been replaced with Michael Gove, the former Education Secretary. I think what I would like to ask you tonight is that a lot of people from these kind of inmates are suffering. And when you look at the number of deaths in custody, figures released in 2015, in the first 6 months of this year, 2015, there were 123 deaths in custody. And I think 70 people died of natural causes, 43 deaths were self-inflicted, 5 homicides, 5 deaths are yet to be classified. Report on deaths in custody in 2014, when you look and there's the only organization that monitors that we know is Howard League, that routinely monitors all deaths in prison. What the people are saying is that there is a concern about late registration of the cause of death following a death requiring an inquest. But there is this organization, and it is affiliated, and people who support it are just worrying about late reporting of the or registration of the deaths inside prison. Some of these people whom are just inmates who have been given indeterminate sentences, I think are those who are killing themselves and just suffering. So what do you think? What can be said here?
It's really unfortunate with regards to IPP, and I know people are serving longer sentences than they should be. I mean, I've dealt with cases where my clients were given IPP sentences, and we did take that on appeal, and luckily we had the IPP element removed. I think it's always worth speaking to the lawyers who represented the individual to see if there is something that can be done with regards to the IPP and to obtain assistance in that way legally.
Yeah.
And the best people who know what's happened on your case is the people who dealt with your case.
Yes.
Because they would have known the history, why IPP was, decided to be attached to their sentence. So it's very important for them to do that,
Yes.
to revisit, if necessary,
Yeah.
the sentencing.
I think what I would like to say, I mean, is having collected signatures and raised the concerns of the people about this particular inmate who has been sentenced to stay in prison for 10 months and 2 weeks, but instead stayed 8 years. Having argued, raised the case, and in public place handed over thousands of people's signatures, petitions signed by a lot of people. Until now, we haven't received an official response. I cannot say the letters have gone the wrong direction, because I know I have given the letters to the people. Yeah. Well, just you can see now that was the Radio 5 live debate, in which I think I was able to hand the petitions signed on behalf of that inmate.
The gentleman got frustrated. You cannot imagine the harsh life this gentleman is going through, and the impact of this injustice on his family, relatives, friends, and people around the world. Recently, European Court of Human Rights have abolished this sentence. It is a hazardous sentence, disastrous, introduced by David Blanket, acting on instructions of Tony Blair. So, as a justice man, what are you going to do? Somebody who has been kept in jail against his wishes, who even wants to relinquish the nationality and go back to the country of his origin. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. That's a direct question to persuading the
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I'll give you a very quick answer. The coalition government abolished the indeterminate sentences, but these are sentences that have already been passed. They're not there for a set term. There is, in the same way there is for a life sentence, there is a review point set by the court. But the structure of the sentence is that you will be detained indefinitely until the independent parole board judges you are no longer a threat to society and can be released. And the number of people on those sentences is reducing all of the time. But nonetheless, it is a matter of the independent parole board to judge when somebody is able to be released. I'll happily take your petition. It's something we obviously be given careful consideration to. But at the end of the day, it will be a matter for the independent parole board and not the politicians to decide when somebody is able to be released. Okay, thank you for your question. We do have to move on. You'll understand that time is
I think you have seen, I think this is a testimony of signatures collected from large number of people submitted to the Secretary of State for Justice. And I think we haven't heard from them. So we need a little bit your honest advice on, shall we take this with the newly appointed Secretary of State for Justice? I don't know whether they have responded, and the response hasn't reached us. This is not the only person who is the inmate. There are many, many people who are suffering in similar way. Most of them wanted to go home, and now there is a gentleman called Ali Hassan, who is from an organization that is working very hard and lobbying for the community, the diaspora, to enable, to persuade the UK government to send these prisoners on prison transfer agreement back home, where they would be able to be assisted in a better manner, culturally and in terms of their religious needs and so on. So I think if that gentleman is hearing us, who is now in the Somali capital Mogadishu, Mr. Hassan Ali, and also his representative Muhammad Hassan, who is in London, we would like to hear from them. What do you think about the prison transfer agreement, where the local community is able to help people to return on voluntary basis?
Well, that's an individual choice at the end of the day.
Yes.
If a person wants to be transferred, that's an individual choice. And if they want to basically go back to the countries that they came from,
yes,
again, very much individual choice. And if that is their choice, then they can utilize that choice.
Yeah. Well, so this is their own rights.
Yes.
Okay. Please welcome. We have a caller. Walal soo dhawaw. Ali Hassan. Ali soo dhawaw walal.
Assalamualaikum.
على وحير تي في كدقاق عدكاغا واضح معها سيف واضحة وهذا الولد.
Okay,
Yes. Ali, you are representing an organization called Somali Education Development. It's a charity based in New Cross, Lewisham. And
yes,
at the moment,
right.
You have got Ali Hassan in Mogadishu. Is Ali Hassan talking to me?
Yes, you're speaking to Ali Hassan. I'm calling from Mogadishu.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. I was thinking that the person on the line is Muhammad Hassan. Ali, please welcome. Thank you for giving us your valuable time. And I think you are on a long distance call. So we welcome you to the program, Gurmad, which is organized and put together by United Voice and Partners, a non-for-profit organization that had been advocating for the rights of poor people. So what can you tell us about the project you have been doing? Any progress that you have made, please welcome. Hello?
Okay, I'm happy to be. Hello, yes, I'm happy to be in this Kalsantv program that you have presented today.
Yes.
And this project that we are running at this moment, we started 3-4 months ago after long research into the UK prison system,
yeah,
and interviews with the parents of the prisoners and so on.
Yeah.
And of course, with the great concern that you see with the current reports and the conditions of the UK prison,
yeah,
we wanted to engage and inform the Somali government about these issues, giving the prisoners the options to voluntarily, meaning with consent, to go back to their own countries, closer to their families.
Yeah.
So currently in Mogadishu, we're engaging what you call the United Nations Correctional Department that actually financing and building the prisons. There's an embassy, the United Kingdom embassy here, and several ministries in Mogadishu.
Okay, I would like the viewers who are not able to understand English to be able to follow you. Walaalkan qaaliga Ali Hassan, waa kaaga mahad celinayaa waqtigaaga qaaligaana soo siisay adoo naga soo wacay magaalada Muqdisho. Hawshan inaan u baxdana waxaan ka mid ahay dad markaa ka warqaba. Aad waxaan ugu faraxsanahay inaad waqtigaaga siisay ummadda Soomaaliyeed. Waad u jeeday clipka, waxaan hortagnay Justice Secretary of State for Justice, waxaan u geynay petitionist. qofka marka aan kala hadalnay waa qof asagii dhahaya ma raba UK nationality iga cishta Soomaaliya qayb ka tirsanna waxay leedahay ninkaas diyaar u nahay inaan qaadano wali ninkii waa ku jira marka sida hadda u bilowday waxaan u maleynayaa hadii lagu guuleysto mashruucan aad wado oo prison transfer ka ah oo voluntarily dadkooda ay kala baxaan jeelasha wadanka u diraan in guul weyn oo noo soo hoyatay ay noqonayso Soomaha walaal
hooyooyin badan baa saas rajaynayo wiilashii wadankoodii hooyo hadda yimaadaan oo dhaqan celin yimaadaan maxaa dhahayay xabisayaasha ingiriiska dadkii galay waa la yaqaanaa hadda markay soo baxaan xabiska lay ku noqdaan barkee society iyo dhulkii ma fahmayaan laakiin wadankoodii Soomaaliya ha ahaato gobolada ha ahaato oo Soomaaliya ka kooban dhulkoodii iyo dadkoodii iyo diintoodii wixii ku jiraan.
Yes. Well, that's very clear.
marka waxaa laga rabaa shacabka oo reer UK ee Soomaalida intee wasiirada Ingiriiska iyo maxaladaha ay kuwa ku xillo leh maxaabiista waxaas intay engagement ka sameeyaan ee codsadaan intay heshiisyaashan oo kale oo labada dawlad intay isla galaan.
walaalkeen waa mahadsantahay walaalkeen Cali Xasan waxaan ku sheegayaa insha Allah waxaan ku sugaynaa soo laabadkaaga waxaan jecelnahay United Voice and partners macnaha uu dagaalanta xuquuqda in badan ay ka ogtahay iyo dadaalka aad wadaan iyo dadka kale ahlu khayrkana isku tagno waalidiinta caruurtoodu jaalasha ay ku jirto iyo dawladana aan qaban qaabino kulankaasoo markaa aan ku dalbanayna in la fuliyo adigana inaad hawsha xagga ka soo dhisto nataa'ij guula ka soo hoysaan rajaynayna
insha Allah adinka waa daba joognaa dadka dhan waa shirayna waa la hadlaynaa maalimaha shirada noo qaban waa in la socodsiin doonaa natiijooyinka marka
saasaan loo balan walaal waa ku fasaxayna aad iyo aadan ku fasaxaynaa waa mahadsan tahay qayb qaadashada nala ka qayb qaadatay I hope you have made progress you have managed to speak with the those officials concerned including the embassy of United Kingdom in Somalia. Thank you brother and we speak to you soon. Well, that was the gentleman who is lobbying for the to establish a prison transfer agreement between UK and Somalia in order to facilitate the transfer of long-term prisoners of Somali origin. These groups and ourselves are saying is that it will help the inmates here of Somali origin to be rehabilitated easily into their country of origin, where the religion and culture would be a very helpful thing. So what can you add to that?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not involved in any agreement, but if there is an agreement and if there are prisoners who wish to go back home and to be with their families or to be near their families, then to serve prison sentences, that's their choice.
Yes.
If they wish to do that, and I'm sure the United States government, the United Kingdom's government should be amenable to that, so that they can do that.
Yes, definitely.
Because it would help them to be near their loved ones. Food, diet, religion, culture differences, all are eliminated.
Yes.
And they're near their family and home, which is, if that's what they want, yes.
Yes. Well, I think it also takes the burden off their shoulders.
Yes.
Because they're spending money and they have got... Okay, we have got a caller. Please welcome.
magacaygu waxa walaal Cabdi
Yes.
waxaan deganahay Ingiriiska magaalada London.
Yeah.
waxaan doonayaa inaan fikirkayga ka dhiibto barnaamijka imika soconaya.
Yeah.
ee ku saabsan in dawladda Soomaaliyeed ama dadkeena Soomaaliyeed ay u hawl yareynayaan dadka tirasha ku jira ee Soomaalida ah sidii loogu fududeyn lahaa in wadankii loogu musaafiriyo. hadday tahay sidaasan u arkaan inay tahay waxaan leeyahay arrinkaasi wuxuu kordhin karayaa in dad badan oo Soomaaliya ay xarig galaan waayo waxa yar jira in nacayb yar jiro oo dadka joogitaankooda halkan ay dad badan aanay ku hayn xagga booliiska kale marka waxay kordhin karaysaa in dad badan jalaal iska goro si dadkaas uga baxaan dadka looga saaro
marka
waxa ka fiican lahayd iyadoo la isu tago oo Soomaalidu midowdo oo dadka jalaal ku jira waxaan qabaa qaar waxyaabo yar yar oo maynala ayaa jalaal loogu xidhaa oo lagu musaafiriyaa oo dabadna si sharci la baaro waxyaabaha ay ku xiran yihiin waxyaabaha milarka ay ku xiran yihiin lagala hadlo dawladda ingiriiska midka kale waxa kaloo jira ilmaha
yes ha walaal and okay waxaa jira qof kale ayaa khadka ku jira walaal soo dhawaaw maxamed xasan
waa mahadsan tahay mudane sahal inaa oo programkaada nagu soo dhaweysay iyo waa mahadsan tahay looyarada ku joogto maanta aad iyo hoolaha aawadiin aad iyo aad ugu mahadsantihiin
adaa mudan walaalkiisa soo dhawaab su-aashaada iyo hadalkaaga commenti haddiina siinayso
waxaan rabay inaan warsado haddii oo aan sameyno sheekadan oo prisoner transfer agreement
yes
maxaa la dhahayay how easy it is to transfer people waxaan rabay inaan looyarada ka hadasho
you can ask directly using English language if you want.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to ask if a prisoner transfer agreement was established between Somalia and the UK, would it be hard or easy to transfer prisoners between the countries?
I think once an agreement is in place, there shouldn't be difficulties in any transfers taking place. But you know, if both countries agree and that is in place, then I can't envisage there being difficulties in any transfers taking place. And if there are any difficulties, I'm sure there's going to be some rules and regulations that are going to be implemented, and the person who is facing any difficulties should be able to utilize those rules and regulations to their advantage. So hopefully there shouldn't be any difficulties.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Muhammad. What I would like to say honestly is that we are working together and to try to address the problems inmates have in this country, and those who are willing voluntarily to return back home to Somalia, they should be able to do so. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think what else would you like to say to the viewers about the work you and your colleagues have done? Okay, that's gone, I think. What I would like to say is that there are, you know, this is a first step. The communities are getting familiar with the system, and they are looking for various solutions to address the needs they have. So I think for me it's a big step. It's a big step forward, and I think UK government will be able to agree with Somali government.
Look, let's put it this way. Yeah. If there's an agreement between the UK government and the Somali government with regards to any Somalian prisoners who wish to go home, then I'm sure they would be happy, because it will take off the burden from the UK government of keeping the prisoners in this country, for providing food and their welfare, etc. needs in this country. So I'm sure they would be more than happy to have them leave the prison system, because they then don't have to discharge those responsibilities for them. So it really depends on what the rules and regulations are, what the black and white agreement is between the two countries, which is going to be implemented. And I think unless and until we don't know that, we can't state what may happen or may not happen. But I think it is a step in the right direction. If there are people who want to go back home, instead of living in this country in the prison system, which is a bit alien to them, alien culture, etc., then provided if it's their choice, they want to go, fair enough.
Definitely. And I think they should be encouraged. The other thing is that those who have been jailed and kept in prison, who are not British nationals, I've been contacted by a group of 25 Somalis currently at the doorstep of deportation were means a plan. They told me that there have been some of them have been forced to go to Somalia, put on a plane. I think there are also cases where a Somali child who is of Dutch national, he committed an offense, and automatically he has been given removed from UK, put into in Holland. The parents are saying he hasn't really committed the crime, and the case was too weak. Yeah. So I think what can we do to help those who are under threat of deportation but who really need a little bit help?
With regards to, I mean, immigration isn't my forte.
Yes.
So I'm a bit reluctant
definitely.
I'm a bit reluctant to comment on those matters. But normally, what tends to happen is it's on the more serious cases that deportation takes place.
Yes.
It doesn't happen on every single case that I've come across. From experience, what I tend to find is that it's in rare cases that deportation is taking place.
Yes.
And if the person, it really depends on the immigration status here, the length of stay, family commitments, circumstances. I think all of those are factors that can be used to try to keep the person here. But I'm reluctant to go any more depth into that because it's not my forte.
It's not your sphere.
It's not my area.
Field,
it's not my area of law.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm in crime family. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think but there is somebody on trying to reach us. Please welcome.
Hello.
Hello, walaal soo dhawaaw magacaagii meesha ka soo hadlayso.
Sahal Cabdaleera waxaan inaan su'aal ku weydiiyo. Iyo wadankan UK badanaa dhalinyarada markay laba ama saddex isla socdaan booliiska wadankan way joojiyaan darbiga gacanta loo saaraa waa la baaraa marka qaarkood gaari zaanka la saaraa wax dhibaato ah saas aysan ka muuqan marka qaarkood xabsiga la geeyaa laba jeer hadii xabsi la geeyaa dambiilo noqonaya arrimaha noocaas oo Soomaaliya waliba u gaarka ah bal waxayna ka weydiisan jeclaan laga wada adamaasan.
Okay, the gentleman who called it is saying that the youngsters who go, for example, if 3 youngsters are going together, normally they have left their home for a walk. It is a norm for the police to stop them, and they are taken to a station. And once they are taken to the station, on numerous occasions, they are criminalized. So what can be done, he said?
Okay, first of all, if the police officers are exercising the right to stop and search, that is something completely different, which the officers have the right to do. But if the person is being taken to the police station, you're saying on a regular basis, is the gentleman saying there's bias taking place?
Yes, bias taking place.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I understand the question properly.
Yeah.
If somebody is constantly being arrested and or stopped and searched, and they haven't done anything wrong, they've been taken to the police station, they haven't been charged with anything, and this is a repeated pattern, then what the person may want to do is to consider whether there is any proceedings against the police. It's a civil case which a person can bring against the police establishment if they believe that there is bias taking place or they're being stopped unnecessarily on a repeated occasions. They would need to go to a lawyer who deals with proceedings against the police to see if there is a case there.
Walaal waa maqlaysaa lawyeradu waxay ku tiri haddii ay jirto iska istaajin aanan sal ku qotomin markaasi qaanuunka waxay la tahay waxay waajiba in ama la iska istaajinayo ilmihii ayaga waxba galabsan si isdaba jooga waxa waajiba in markaasi lawyer loo tago oo bilaaba dacwad ku bilaaba booliiska laftigiisa mar kasta waa inaan la aamusin oo haddii wax xaqdarra la arka laga hortago waxay la tahay waxaan soo gaarnay dhamaadka barnaamijka waxaana rajaynaynaa inaan halkan ku soo ekeen doono inta aan iska arkayno usbuuc soo socda waxaan idinkaga tegaynaa khayr waxaa barnaamijka usbuuc soo socda daadihin doona walaalkeen ducaale yuusuf inta ka sokaysaa ammaano allah iyo ammaano rasuul iyo is aragti dambe oo qaayo leh wassalaamu calaykum waraxmat ullah